It's time to find out, to know who comes out on top once again. Are you ready to find out the hottest selling card in Magic the Gathering this week? From August 2nd to the 10th of 2024. You may think you know, but that's why you're here. We all need to know for sure, and the numbers don't lie. So let's get it all started for you right now. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me on my channel. A reminder, if you enjoyed today's content, to like and subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell, new content every single day. And of course, you can also support this channel by just using my TCG Player affiliate link found in the description of this video. We get a 3.5% kickback. Thanks again, everyone. Let's start out this week at number 10, and it's Mockingbird from Bloomburrow. Now, this card does have an average price of $6.50. The market price is around $5.49, but this thing had 2,846 sales, which is $18,499 of total sales. Just craziness. That means people believe that this Mockingbird is something. So let's take a closer look and see what we're talking about. It is 1 blue plus X for this bird bard that's a 1/1 flyer. And it says you may have Mockingbird enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast Mockingbird, except it's a bird in addition to its other types. This offers a lot of versatility for a type of clone type spell that you should not be ignoring. As the price drops, it's a pickup. Now, number 9. That's right, guys. We are stopping it again with Bloomburrow, and this is Fountain Port. Now, this card only comes in at $1.50, but the 2,904 sales, which is $4,356 of sales action, offers you a little bit of a glimpse into where we're going with Bloomburrow this week. You can see there that the market price is $1.29, but when you actually see what a card like Fountain Port does, you get a better understanding of what players are building with a lot of the new constructed decks we're seeing in Standard. Now, this is a land that taps for colorless. It also can pay 2 and sacrifice a token to draw a card. You can pay 3 and pay 1 life and create a blue fish, a 1/1 blue fish token. Blue, yeah, right. And 4, you can just, create a treasure token. The point is, this card is offering versatility and options mid to late game. If things go late, you have options. If it goes early, you have a way of drawing cards and ramping up. It's a nice card for $1.50, right? Now, let's go in and take a look at our number 8 card. And this, of course, is Dawn's Truce. This saw a lot of conversation and talking points around the old water cooler. But let's see what this card's actually doing for us. $4.16 is the average price, 3,290 sales, or $13,686.40 of total sales action. I have been trying to use this card, but honestly, the games end so quickly, this has not been a showstopper for me and the Moxman here. Now, it does have gift a card, but it says, as an instant, you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. If the gift was promised, you have the card and they get to keep it, then your permanents get indestructible, and that's kind of nice. But you know how many times I've had that go off in the times I've been trying to use this card? That's right, it's 0. It's never worked. The game ends too quickly, or the people have ways of killing you. It doesn't matter. It's a fun idea. It's going to find a home in Commander. Standard, I don't think is going to see this thing play. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. This is going to be Scavengers Talent. Now, this card's only $1. So let's take a closer look and see why people might be buying it. It's 3,450 sales, but this $1 card means it's only $3,450 of total sales volume. But as a single black mana to cast this spell, it is worth taking a closer look at what constructed decks are using it. Now, I've seen a lot of bat decks right now. I'm seeing a lot of mouse and rabbit decks going around from Bloomburrow. There is a lot of action, so let's take a look at this card. Now, for a single black, it says whenever one or more creatures, that went too quickly, but that's okay. I'm looking at the same time you are. You guys can pause the video and go back. Let's look at level 3. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice 3 other non-land permanents. If you do, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. That's kind of insane, and it does have its place depending on where you are in the game. And again, for a single black mana, this might be just the right card for you. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. Now, this one is an interesting one because Fable Passage, of course, is a reprint, but it's still seeing a lot of action now because it's allowed to be back in standard. 3,610 sales. That's $12,093.50. This card comes in at $3.25. That is not a big price point for a card like this, but this card does do something that other things like Evolving Wilds don't. This thing lets your land come into play untapped if you have enough land in play, and that's insane. And using this thing with that World's Rage spell and stuff to get multiple lands out every turn means this card can be insane mid to late game, depending on how it's being utilized. But it also lets you get the exact mana you're looking for, just like Evolving Wilds. But if it's turn 4, this thing's coming into play untapped, and that's epic. Now, let's go and check out our next card. This is the Seed Meiser, okay? This thing's only $1.58. Now, this Squirrel Warlock had 3,740 sales. That's $5,909.20 of sales action. Now, this thing is a legendary creature 3/3, and of course, it's 1 green, 1 black, and 1 generic. So when you look at all the Squirrel decks being created and you see this is a card that still has significant sales going on, it makes you wonder, what green and black decks with squirrels are people building with? Now, let's take a closer look at the Seed Meiser. It has Menace. Other squirrels you control have Menace. Whenever you sacrifice 1 or more foods, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. It also has Forage. 2 and Forage, put a +1/+1 counter on each other squirrel you control. To Forage, you gotta exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrifice a food, which mostly it's food, by the way. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the 3-Tree City, which was #1 last week, dropping down a few spots. Now this card is at $25, okay, as the actual average price. 3,812 sales. That's still $95,300 of sales action. This thing is still a monster because of its price tag and the amount of sales it's still getting. It is commanding a very high, it's got a high price tag. Okay, now I still am wondering where this card is going to pan out. I'm hoping the price will drift downward so a lot more players have the opportunity to grab this card. But at the same time, with this kind of sales action and the fact sales are slowing down on sealed product already, means that this card is probably going to stay stagnant at this price, at least for the foreseeable future. So you guys can stick around and wait, or you can just pony up the dough and buy the card and call it a day. Now let's go ahead and take a look, because that was our #1. Now it's drifted down. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. This is the Patchwork Banner coming into the #3 spot. It's got 3,982 sales, which is $14,056.46. This card has been shooting up since like the 7th of August. Now, $3.53 is the average. That doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it's risen a couple of 100%. And it almost made one of my card spike videos. So this is kind of insane to see it go this way because the sales action's huge. So what does it do? It's a 3 casting cost artifact. It's an uncommon. It says when it comes into play, choose a creature type, and that can be for anybody, so remember that. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So it gives you mana. It can give your bunny rabbits a little bit of a boost. And trust me, I have been using it in my bunny deck, and it's working pretty well. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the #2 card, and this is the Caretaker's Talent. Now this thing shot up. I did do a video on this. You can go ahead and watch that. It comes in at 4,000 sales, which is $32,320 of total sales action. This thing is back up to $8.08 as the average price. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when this thing was going for $1, nobody cared. So let's talk about it, okay? What does this thing do? Well, let's not forget that as a 1 white, 2 generic, it comes into play, and if you can get a token in there, then you're going to draw a card each turn, which is kind of epic. Now, on the second hand, it's got the second ability, which says you can copy a token in play, which of course will trigger the first effect. Amazing. And then if you can get this thing down to the last ability, creature tokens you control get +2/+2. And there's a lot of ways of ramping out a whole bunch of tokens of different types. Remember it. It's amazing. Now let's stop in at the #1 card. This is why you all came here. You wondered what came out on #1? It is Innkeeper's Talent with $4,380 in sales, which is $87,600 of sales action. The card's at $20, guys. It's hard to believe it's at the pre-order price that it was when it first got announced. It's actually rebounded all the way back. And that's because this card offers an insane amount of abilities for a 1 green, 1 generic. Now the first one is putting that counter on everything. Okay, every turn you get a counter. Then if you can get the second level for that 1 green, now you've got your permanents that have counters get ward. And if you get to the last one, well, then you get to put more counters on your permanents. You get twice as many, and it just gets really insane really fast. You can see why this card is popular. You can see why it's being splashed everywhere. Respect this card, guys. I think it's going to go higher. Let's get to the wrap up here. Let's talk about what happened in the market this week. Now it's time to drop some hard facts on everyone just so they know where the market's at. Sales are slowing. You can see here on the second week of the top 10, we're not at 7,000 sales again. Things are already drifting down. The sealed product that's been opened is opened. Everything else is going to be packs and the odd little sale trickling in here or there. We're not going to see mass box openings. We're not going to be having tons of collector boxes shaking up the world. It's not going to happen. There'll be some YouTube content creators cracking some product. There'll be a few box opening videos being put out. But for the most part, the party's over. What we're going to have in the market is what we're going to have in the market right now. After that, some prices are going to go stagnant. A few are going to continue to rise. And quite a few are going to drift sideways. Okay, not even stale. Stale means like nothing's going on at all. They're going to have sales, but it'll be buying and selling at an even mark. And that's just a sideways lateral move. Now, the interesting thing will be when we see more of Duskmorn and we get to see some of the spoilers coming up, because that could show players, nothing I'm really interested in, and they'll go back to Bloomburrow or back to other things like Assassin's Creed. But if they get attracted to what they see in Duskmorn, the sales will start going that way. Things like Bloomburrow hang in the backdrop, and some of these prices will actually start to go up because the market's not opening more cards. Now, as popular as Bloomburrow is, a lot of people are complaining about the overall contents of a box, the value per dollar spent type deal, and they're not wrong, okay? At least at this point, they're not wrong. I can't wait to find out what the next 90 days brings, and it's going to take a while to get all the sales data in. All I know right now for you guys out there is the box sales are like trending down really fast, okay? Really fast. Anyway, thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for being here on the video today. I look forward to seeing you guys every single day of the week, so thanks again for stopping by my channel. I'll see you guys soon. Have a great one. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to all the fantastic patrons we have supporting our channel each and every day. Because of these patrons, daily uploaded content gets made for YouTube, and let's face it, we all get to have a good time here on the channel, so I'd like to thank everyone from my YouTube membership members to my patrons for making these videos possible and letting me experience it with you. I look forward to seeing you guys every day. Have a great one, and of course, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Welcome back, guys. You've got your lanyard on, and you've been invited backstage to hang out with the Moxman here in the Ramble Jamble. Guys, the sales are very interesting to see what's going on with Bloomburrow. Overall, the sales this week are pretty high. From what we've seen in the past, we have a lot of cards selling at a higher price point. The fact that Bloomburrow dominates this week is kind of a surprise for me. I expect a few other cards popping in there, but no. Okay, so we got nothing but Bloomburrow right now. And the cards selling, it's very interesting because some of this only happens when players start playing with the cards. You can put it on paper and say it's going to be great, but until you physically see the combinations going, like I'm seeing bats everywhere. I'm seeing a whole bunch of slick shot, sure shot decks now mixed with blue to get the ramp and get all kinds of spell stuff going to line up your things properly, and then have those Djinns and stuff mixed in there. There's some good combination cards being mixed in new ways that people have to adjust to. Now the funny thing is without a card like Farewell wiping out the battlefield, White is having a hard time dealing with a lot of these swift destructive decks. The only chance they have is like the white-black with the bats. But even then, if you've got a good draw, it's over. It's done. Isn't it where everyone always says that? It's always over if you get a good draw. Yeah, but I'm serious. Like, there's not much they can do about it unless they have the answer at the exact moment. Anyway, it's still a blast. It's great to see. And yes, for those of you who were here at this end part, I am now up to 226 losses in a row on Arena. 220. I scoop right away if I'm not facing against a blue deck. I want to see how this uncounterable deck plays against a counterspell deck, and for some reason, it will not pair me against a counterspell deck. It's like I'm not allowed to play against them. It's ridiculous. Later, guys. See you tomorrow!